Hey, this is John Henry Sheridan, and welcome to my vlog series, How to Teach the Single String Tab Method. This series is designed for teachers who are interested and curious in teaching the single string tab method to their students, whether you're teaching in a school setting to many students at once or just privately one-on-one. I hope to share my insight and experience with you in a way that allows you to teach it even more effectively. So let's just get right to it. I'm going to show you what a typical first lesson, what my typical first lesson with a beginner private student looks like. I'm going to walk you through it. If you're teaching in a school, I think there's still maybe some value to get from what I do. Not everything will apply, obviously, if it's in a class setting, but so the first they come in, I pretty much do this no matter what the age, more or less, depending on, if someone could comprehend more faster, then I'll skip certain stages. But let's say I'm seeing a beginner who's under 10 years old, right? Or even early teens. I'll welcome them. Hey, how you doing? So then I ask two questions. Very first thing, I grab a piece of paper, almost like I'm a therapist, and I say, okay, so why do you want to play guitar? Right, and then I'll really dig a little bit. Some kids or students have no idea why. Some people are very specifically clear, and some have a vague idea. So I'll just pull that out of them. If they're kind of coming up with nothing, I'll say, well, do you think it's cool, or do you, maybe your parents want you to do it? Is that, and no guilt about it, just what is your reason why you're here, And then once I get that, then I say, well, what do you want to get out of these lessons? Some people are like, just want to kind of learn how to play guitar. That's fine. Do you want to know how to play your favorite song? Yeah. Or do you want to play in a band? Yes, no. All this information will help me know how to guide them and give me an idea what's going to turn them on to want to continue more. So first why, then what? Spend maybe 5, could even go to 10 minutes depending on how engaged they are at those questions. Older students tend to be more engaged with that, at least in my experience. So then the next step, I talk about the guitar, especially if they're younger. But even older students, they tend not to know the parts of the guitar. So I say, okay, this is the guitar. I'll just briefly cover the parts. I say, this is the head, this is the nut, right? This is the neck. I usually say, well, this is the head, and then this is the body. What connects your head and your body? And the neck, okay? Then I also talk about the frets. I often point out that frets are the hardest word for most students to remember. So it's to try to challenge them to remember it. And then, that helps them to remember it. But a lot of times, if I don't do that, I say, and what are these things? And they just forget. So frets. Then I say, what are these? So even if a student knows no other part of the guitar, almost all of them know strings. I've heard a couple of funny ones. I forgot, like threads or something funny like that. Pretty cute. But wires, wires, that's what they said. Okay, and then I say, hello. What is that part? What do you think this is called? I don't know. And so this is what I say. I'm just walking you through it, just so you know. So I'm like, well, let's say I'm walking down the street, right? You say, John, don't fall into the what? And they say, hole. Okay, right, and what comes out of it? They might say noise or something like that, or music. So I say, well, what's another broader word for music? And sound. Okay, so sound, hole. Right, and then I say, have you ever been to Staten Island? Because I live in Brooklyn. You can pick a place that's nearby you that requires a bridge to get to. You ever been to Staten Island? Yeah. Oh, what'd you get there? How'd you get there? Did you swim there? No, I took a car. Well, how'd the car get there? Across the bridge. Then I'm like, bridge. And like, oh, okay. they get it. And the retention of like all these parts is pretty amazing. And then for this, I say, did you ever ride on horseback? Yes, no. Well, do they sit directly on the horse, or is there something in between? Yeah, something in between. What's that called? Saddle? Yes. So a person sits on a horse's saddle, the guitar strings sit on the guitar saddle. And then usually the word sticks for them. Okay, that's how I do it. So I say this is the rosette, just to mention it. And some kids actually remember that. I explain this is the back, the whole thing is the body. And then I say, what do you think this is called? If this is the back, what do you think this is called? And they, a lot of them will say the front. So actually that's what I thought too. But strangely enough, it's called the top. Okay, so that's about that. Did I say? And I explained tuners. Yeah, and if they have electric guitar, I might, get into that, or an acoustic, point out the pick guard, steel string, So after that, I do a game, especially with the brand new beginners. I do a call and answer copycat game, which I find really helpful because sometimes a student can come in with really almost absolutely no concept how the guitar works. Like they try to just do this and make sound, and they don't realize the right hand's required too. So I say, okay, you see this little string here? This the thinnest string, the first string. Okay, we're gonna play a copycat game. I'm gonna play some. Let's see if you can copy me. Okay? I'll start out. Then maybe. And kind of judge how quick they are to copy it. Then I'll start adding in. Kind of slowing it down, but enough for them to kind of say, oh, I think. And if they get it wrong, maybe pull it back a little bit. Then I go to the top string, the low string, sorry. Similar idea. Usually E, A, right? And then I'll end with, they like that, right? And then, so they kind of get the mechanics of the guitar a bit. All right. So after we do that, and that can go for a while depending how much they enjoy it. And then I usually go to the first single string song, which is Tie Your Shoe. I know it's not the first in the book. I'm sorry. I kind of made a mistake with that. I maybe should have put it first, but it's the third one. It's just I find it's easiest to teach first. So Tie Your Shoe. So I'll play it for them, right? So I'll play it and I'll sing the numbers. So I'll say, okay, first I'm going to play for you, so just listen, all right? And I'll actually make sure they can't see the book. I go 0, I'll say, look at my hands. 0, 2, 4, 0, 2, 4, and I usually tap 2, 2, 2, 2, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 0. Then I sing the words. Tie your shoe. Why don't you? Before you fall, why don't you just tie your shoe? Okay. Sometimes I use a play along track if I think that'll grab them a little bit more. And say, okay, now I'm gonna play it, and I just want you to follow along with your eyes. So I don't want them to play it. So I put it in front of them, and I say, just look at the paper. I'm gonna quiz you. I'm gonna play, and then I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna say, what's my next note? So then I'll start playing 0, 2, and I'll stop maybe. What's my next note? And then they might say 4, so I say point to it. So they'll point to it. 0, 2, 4. Then I'll stop a few times. 2, 2. What's my next note? They point to 2, 2, 0, 0. And I do this to get a feeling of can they follow along, and to understand that that's how music works. That you read it left to right, and you go down, kind of like reading a book. Or quite like reading a book. So once they do that, they kind of feel, generally kind of good about where they are. They feel like they're settling into the lesson and they can handle this. Then I say, well, your turn. And I challenge them to play it. Sometimes they totally get it right away, you know, how to hold down the fret. If not, I spend a little time explaining. You gotta push. I say this, how does a tree grow out of the ground? Does it grow straight like this, or does it grow kind of like this, kind of like that, kind of like it goes straight? Okay, so I say, well, try to put your finger straight into the neck so that it comes out like a tree almost. Kind of helps, I think. And then almost always, you know, people are a little bit too much in the back of the fret most times. So the terminology I use is there's the front, the middle, and the back of the fret. The front, middle, and back. And that you want to aim for the front. The front is the number one best spot to get a note. The middle is okay, and the back is not good. Okay? And the reason the front is better, I would say it requires just that much less energy to get a good sound, which compounded over, you know, a lot of playing makes a difference. But also, if you're at the front of the fret and you want to reach in position for another fret, there's a better chance you're going to at least get the middle if your fingers don't stretch far. But if you're in the middle and your fingers don't stretch, you probably can get the back of the fret. So I aim for the front. I always recommend that. It takes a lot of repetition. Eventually they kind of remember it. For, you know, lessons, many lessons. So then they try. Sometimes they get it really good. Then I'll say, okay, you want to try the play along track? And we start with the slow play along track. And then maybe if they get that pretty good, we move on to Pizza Toast. That's the second song I teach. But if they don't get it good, if it's just, you know, really a struggle for them, and I'll do this with any single string song, or any song if I'm teaching standard notation too, when they're really, someone's struggling, I'll just, you know, it's on this music stand, they're sitting next to me, and as they play, I'll just point to the note. 0. You know, and if they just like hit the third fret or something, I'll point and say 4. And, you know, I kind of go through with them. And, you know, if their timing's way off, I tap, you know, like 0, 2, 4. At this stage of the game, I really don't get too into what is a quarter note, what is a half note. Sometimes kids had some music in school they already know. A lot of times they don't. So I just let that kind of, you know, visually you can kind of tell that this note requires more time. And if they don't get it, I demonstrate it just by, you know, when they hear it, they kind of get the idea. I let that come a little more naturally until it really needs to be explained in a more complicated song. So Tie Your Shoe, then Pizza Toast, and then I do Eagles, Beatles, Grateful Dead, and Elvis. And I explain how that is a mnemonic device for the names of the strings. E, B, G, D, A, E. So, and yeah, I might not get to all that in the first lesson. It might just be Tie Your Shoe, might be Tie Your Shoe and Pizza Toast. Some get to Eagles, Beatles. And then I end most lessons with, well, what can you practice this week? Can you practice anything, or what do you plan to practice? Or what are you going to do with guitar? And they may say, I'm going to practice this song, or I don't know. So either way, I will give a recommendation. Say, whatever we covered, can you play this, that, and the other thing? I usually say, sometimes just one thing. I usually say, and please, you know, look around in the book, play anything else that interests you, even if it's really seems advanced. You know, if they're of age where they can search around the internet, I say, you know, if you have a curiosity about music, just search around and try to discover things, you know, through your own curiosity and your own searching. It's usually with older students. So anyway, that's pretty much what first lesson with a beginner private student looks like for me. I hope that is some use to you. If if you like this video, please give it a like, leave a comment, let me know what you gained from it or what other questions you might have and want to learn in regards to teaching the single string tab method. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, John Henry Guitar Lessons. And if you'd like to receive a free PDF single strings sampler ebook with a bunch of my single string songs, I forgot how many are in there, but there are quite a few, 8 or something like that. Check, go put your mailing address in there, your email, and you'll get a free ebook with my sampler PDF. And I hope to get the conversation going, so please share your thoughts. I definitely see a community of single string teachers emerging, and I'm super excited about it because I know there's some interest, as I've seen people signing up to the site recently, more so. So yeah, I'm here to help out. I hope to hear from you, and I wish you great success in your guitar teaching journey. Until next time.